The death of Osinachi Nwachuwku, which was announced on Friday, 8th April 2022, ignited a fresh wave of conversations surrounding domestic violence in Nigeria. In a recent report by Sarah Reporters, it was confirmed that the late Ekweme Krona died of domestic violence from her husband. Her family also denied earlier reports that she died of cancer. She died of a cluster of blood in the chest after a blood clot resulting from a kick she received from her husband, Peter Nwachuwku. But how normal is domestic violence? Is it an acceptable feature in marriages? Jeph Oluwagbemiga is a relationship coach based in Abuja.
Domestic violence is not anything normal, because the word normal means something that is a norm, that is acceptable by the community. So domestic violence is not normal in any way, even though it happens, but that does not make it normal. It's not acceptable in marriage because it's a negative thing. Violence of any form is a negative thing. And you know, domestic violence has different sides to it. You have the emotional part of it, you have the physical part of it, you have the psychological part of it that affects the whole mentality of a person. So it is not normal, it's not acceptable in any way.
Several furious tales rendered the social media space void of words after some social media users recounted experiences of their loved ones who suffered and died in the hands of their husbands due to domestic violence.
Let me say first that both men and women suffer domestic violence, but the proportion is higher on the side of women who suffer domestic violence. And you know, our culture and religion has placed some kind of restriction, so to say, on people, especially women, and that has not given them the freedom to express themselves. And if anybody is going through domestic violence, the very first thing you should do is to express yourself, speak to people. But the culture, I mean, even religion say don't share with a third party. The question is, who is a third party? You understand? It's a couple that should define who's a third party. There are positive third parties and there are negative third parties. So what we can do is to start addressing some fundamental part of our culture and of our religion that does not allow women to express themselves. It's even worse on the side of men. You rarely see a man coming out that he's being abused or is going through domestic violence with his wife. We see women who break stools on their husband's head, but most of the time it's men against women. So it is not acceptable. It's not culturally acceptable. It's not acceptable in terms of religion, but the two institutions, religion and culture, are the ones that can actually help us address this in a very good way, especially from the family setting. So when you're training your children, begin to train them that violence is not good, and do not model violence to them. Some parents model violence to their children, and you are training them to be violent. So we should be careful after how we handle ourselves, especially the family front. There's nothing called marital problems. Marital problems does not exist. What we have are individuals, men and women, who have personal shortcomings that they have not been able to overcome, but when they get married, the thing becomes escalated. A violent person has always been violent towards friends, violent towards siblings, violence towards people in the public, and now we're talking about marriage. So the violence is now directed at the spouse, and that makes it to come to the limelight. So if somebody is violent, naturally violent, so to say, let me just do the word naturally, and everybody can handle their anger. So if you are violent generally, you answer every question with some violence, with a form of violence or the other. Domestic violence can start. Then in terms of verbal, anybody can be verbal in terms of you speak fast, you speak harsh, you speak whatever. So harsh speaking and wrong verbal presentation can lead to violence, domestic violence. And sometimes when association, if you move with people who believe that if you do not beat your wife, you are not a man, then you will start beating her. Not because she has done anything wrong, but because your association, the people you move with, your peer group has sort of brainwashed you or tell you that this has to do it. Or if you see your parents, if your parents are always fighting, somehow you imbibe into you, and you might begin to think that violence is a way to sort out your marriage. So people can learn it from different ways. But majorly is the clash of values. People don't fight. It's their value that clash. When their values clash, then they might result into physical violence. If the woman, for example, believes that this is the way we should be going because that's how I was taught, and the man believes this is the way we should be going, that's how I was trained, then there will be a clash of values. And the easiest way sometimes to express it is probably by screaming, shouting, and then it can get to physical, and then it can become a full-blown domestic violence. A lot of time, a woman knows the kind of man he's going to get married to. More often than not, you know that this man has abusive tendencies, but for whatever reason, I'm old enough, God will touch him, I will tell you something to be talking to him. All those, for those, some of those films reasons, they go into marriage, believing that a miracle will happen. Forgetting that behavior is not easy to change. I'm a psychologist, I can say that. It's not easy to change habits, it's not easy to change behavior, it takes time, and the person must be willing. If he has not been able to change that behavior before he got married, it becomes more complicated when he gets married, because now he might think he needs to change that behavior because of you. No, he needs to know that he needs to change that behavior because of himself first, and then for other people. So, if you know that your husband is abusive, is whatever, ensure that you do not allow him to cut you off from people. An abusive husband will first of all cut you off from your friends, from your pillars, from your safety nets, and then you are stranded, and he can do all manner of things for you. We keep hearing some terrible stories that we won't have time to discuss today. So make sure you have people that you confide in, and don't always think that change can come like today or tomorrow. Changes are not miraculous. Changes takes time. So we must believe that, and then you look inward. In what area are you contributing or fueling the domestic violence? A lot of time, people's habits can fuel domestic violence. That's why it's good to go for premarital training, not the conventional thing we call premarital counseling. A training that helps all of you to understand what marriage is, helps you to understand your personality, and a whole lot of things that you need to do to make your marriage a better place.
Popular gospel artist Frank Edwards has vowed to leave no stone unturned in ensuring that late Osinachi Nwachuwku got justice, even in her death. Frank Edwards, who went on Instagram Live to express his sadness over her death, said, "I have never put my weight against anybody, even people who hurt me. I have never done it. I have had reasons to take people to court, but I didn't. But this case cannot go like that because this is a colleague and a voice that was blessing the world."
Do you have friends or colleagues or neighbors who are suffering from domestic violence? You could be a voice today to save them from what they are going through. So follow Nigeria Today. In this conversation, you can put your comment down so that we can understand what you want to pass across. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can follow us on YouTube. My name is Jeph Oluwagbemiga. I do not support domestic violence at all.